Aloha Fuse Hawaii family. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late today. I had to get something. I have a little surprise for you all. So I wanted to do something fun today for our Fuse Hawaii family. You all have been super patient in waiting for your orders to be delivered. You've all been super supported in joining our Empowered by Fuse Hawaii group. And I just wanted to do a little giveaway for all of you, who've been supporting us like so much. And so basically, I think that this episode is going to be so great for our audience, this Fuse Live episode, that I wanted to do something special. And basically, the first 25 people who share are going to get this Aloha State Team Fuse Hawaii hat. So I will personally put this in a box and ship one out to you. We have them in a variety of colors, so you don't get to pick the color. I do, but I think that this is going to be cool. And being that you all are so supportive, every single week you show up, you're in our exclusive group for empowered women, and I actually had to kick out some men that were in there. They snuck in. So I think it's such a safe group for us ladies to get together, share our stories. Like I always say, I'm just here, telling my story, being brave with my story to inspire you to be brave with yours as well. And I just want to do a little giveaway. So totally free. Just share this episode with your audience, and message me in the comments if the first 25. And actually I might feel a little bit giving, so maybe a little bit past 25, however many we can make. This is, my sister does all of these hats. These are our little giveaways. So share, comment, and definitely I usually feel really giving, so we might even go past 25. Just wanted to make it a little bit fun for you all. Share this message with you and your friends, because I think it's going to be such a great episode. We've been getting really great feedback. So today's live, it's on self-confidence tips. I'm going to get right to the point, and then for everybody who wants to stick around longer, we can chat. And thank you, Elsa. Hey, Aubrey, you're back. I'm like running around all day, but I'm just going to break down, because I know I have a short attention span, so I'll give you my top, let me see, I wrote it down in my little notebook here because I'm so organized. Not really. So I broke it down to 6 things that I do to boost, sorry, it's windy out here, boost my self-confidence. And I'm going to give it all to you really short now, and I'll try to go more in depth with anybody who wants to stick around longer. So number 1, in no particular order, I thought about this morning, and it's know yourself. I'll get more into detail on that. Number 2, celebrate your small wins. Number 3, self-acceptance. Number 4, surround yourself with positivity. Number 5, I chose visualize your future and your goals. And number 6, resilience. And so I just wanted to give that all to you right off the bat, because if you can't stick around, I know my audience likes to chat and we have fun on here, but if all of you are going about your day, I want you to be able to do that and just have those 6 tips from Fuse Hawaii team here, and my personal tips on what I actually use to keep motivated, to keep my confidence up, on those days where it's not feeling so great. So there's that. And again, share this post. The first 25 people who message me and have shared this post, message us in our DM, let us know. And again, it's just the first 25. I may feel a little bit more giving, but I don't know. I might do some pop-ups later if this works to get our message spread to a larger audience, because I think that, our message is really resonating with women, and the more women we're able to connect with and join in this conversation, I think it's a lot more fun. So, anyways, we already got people messaging us. Thank you. Thanks for your share. So, as I was discussing this morning, if you're not in our Empowered by Fuse Hawaii group, it is a private group for all of us ladies who want to just jump in and be supported. This morning I was on my morning walk and I chat with them in our private group and shared with them a little more personal tips, and we just kind of have coffee together in the morning. So definitely join that group if you want to be a part of that. But what I shared with them this morning is the email that we send out on Sundays is the first, it's my team puts together this email on Sundays, and it's the only clue that I get of what I'm speaking of on this topic on Mondays, because I do like to keep it very authentic, very raw, and I don't like to script a lot of things. So basically, I read the email on Sundays to know what I'll be talking about with you today. And my team, they go through your messages, your comments, and all of the feedback from all of our customers and our fans and our followers. And thank you for that. And they basically put together a topic that they think will add value to your lives, because, you know, that's what Fuse Hawaii is all about. And so confidence, you know, when it comes around, sometimes I'm like, I don't feel like I'm an expert in the field at all, because I mean, who really is confident all the time? I don't know one person who is, and you know, if there are people like that, cool, but I don't know. I don't think they're real. But maybe they're in like those frames, you know, on the shelves in the department stores. I wrote about that in my blog the other day. But you know, this topic here, I feel when I got this topic that it was something maybe I couldn't be an expert on, but I realized that through all of the ups and downs in life, like overcoming those things, you know, maybe I do have some knowledge on on self-confidence, and my brand is about empowering women and inspiring them to feel confident in the skin that they're in. And that's because I have been going through the process myself, and yeah, so I've learned some things along the way. You know, I'm definitely not the greatest at it, but I think we're all learning and growing together, and I'm so honored to have all of you who are here with me today. So sharing the perfectly imperfect, motivating vibes, girl. Thank you, Aubrey. So that first point that I had, you know, on know yourself. So I feel like knowing your weaknesses, your strengths is important. And, you know, I've actually even took those, like, you read those books on those tests, like your skills that you're good at, those skills assessment tests. And, you know, I've even asked people that were close to me, like, what am I good at? Because a lot of times, like, our perception of ourselves is totally skewed when compared to, like, what other people have to say about us. But, you know, I've noticed if I can ask, like, the 5 closest people to me, like, all right, what am I good at? What is my weaknesses? What are my strengths? And I actually did this. You know, I asked my husband, I asked people on my team, I asked my mom, and honestly, I'll even write down what I believe are my weaknesses and strengths. And I noticed that when I go over all of those, the lists of things that people write down, usually there's like this common denominator that, you know, stands out. Usually there's like one thing, whether it's maybe communicating really well, you know, whatever it is, there's usually something that stands out amongst those 6 different opinions of people who really, really know you very well, including, you know, your own opinion. And so I try to pull those things that stand out, that common thread. And, you know, I try to focus on my strengths, because a lot of times, you know, I've went through life not focused on my strengths, probably doing things that, you know, I wasn't so good at, but trying to exert a lot of energy in that area. But I've noticed that if I can just spend time focusing on my strengths, I move forward a lot quicker. And then if you can just really hone in on that strength, you get really good at things doing that, you know. And so your supporter from Vegas. Oh, hey. Aloha. So yeah, my number 2 thing, you know, on celebrating the small wins, I'm super big on that, because a lot of times we just go through life, go through the day, like not even noticing everything we accomplished in the last hour, in the last day, in the last 10 years sometimes. You know, I have done that, and now I'm learning, like, taking the time to recognize your small wins. Let me see what I wrote down. You know, I wrote down, remind yourself of your past accomplishments. You know, where was the progress? Because a lot of times we are going so quickly through life that we don't even realize. You know, when I opened my first boutique after 3 kids, like a year or 2 in, I just stopped for a good 5 minutes, and I looked around and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And it was a little bit saddening, you know, that a year or 2 years have gone by and I had just been going so fast and working so hard that I didn't take that time to just, you know, realize my accomplishments. So, you know, I'm 31 now, going on 32, and I'm learning slowly. I'm learning a lot quicker on just taking time to say, hey, you did a good job. So I want to remind all of you of that. You know, I did 2 interviews this month on 2 of my favorite podcasts, and during that time I was just like, afterwards I'm like, did that just really happen? I remember a year ago just listening to these podcasts, listening to these people, and now like I can contact these hosts on like a regular basis. Like, you know, that's pretty cool. And I just had like a moment where I'm like, wow, you did it. Like, you set a goal and you did it. And so yeah, that was just me acknowledging, you know, in that little moment. And it does a lot for your confidence, you know, when you can realize those tiny little wins. Because a lot of times we go for those big goals, you know, like whatever it is, make a certain amount of money, buy that specific car, do a triathlon, I don't know, like, but, and then, you know, when we're just focused on that goal, we don't see all the tiny little steps along the way that, you know, helped us to make it there. And sometimes it takes a lot longer to get to your goal than you'd like. So having all of those small wins along the way doesn't make you feel like you're failing in the process, you know. I had one guy tell me, in one of my mastermind groups actually, he works for the company The One Thing. And he said, little lady, you are succeeding so fast, you feel like succeeding so slow that you feel like you're failing. And that comment really hit my heart. You know, it was true. In that moment, there was so many small successes that I wasn't even realizing that I actually felt like I was failing at what I was doing. So don't do that. Just a reminder, you know, through my experience, that's all I can give you is my own experience. So yeah. And as far as self-acceptance, my 3rd tip, I wrote down, don't beat yourself up, you know, allow room for error. Speak kindly to yourself and find ways to improve your life. So on that note, you know, a lot of times when somebody else is going through something, we're the first one to offer comforting words, kind words, things that will build them up. But when we're going through something, we actually do the opposite. And so I'm here to remind all of you the same thing that I do to myself every day, is remind myself to speak kindly to ourselves. In the mornings, I actually, when I'm getting my daughters ready for school, they're 7 and 4 years old, I actually have them look in the mirror and tell themselves in the mirror, good morning, beautiful, or you look beautiful today. And I just really want to teach them that at a young age, because it's actually a really hard thing to do, even as adults. So I think if I can instill that in them when they're 4, when they're 7, I hope, you know, it'll have an impact on them, because I think really to speak those words out loud is one of the hardest things that we can do at times, especially when we're not feeling that way. And so actually there are days where my 7-year-old, I notice she has a harder time. My 4-year-old, she feels a little silly, but the older they get, I notice it's a little bit harder to say that to themselves, because, you know, they're probably going through things that more than the 4-year-old's going through, you know. She's probably experiencing things in school that sometimes she doesn't tell me, you know, whether it's kids saying unkind things or her just feeling insecure, but I've been there. And so just this morning, you know, just seeing her in the mirror, she actually had a really hard time telling herself that, good morning, beautiful. Some days, you know, it actually is like, looks like she wants to cry. And so that's 7 years old. That's 4 years old, you know. I'm 31 years old, and I know that there's a lot of, you know, us out there that when we look in the mirror some days, we feel exactly like that. And so, you know, that would be my third tip, is self-acceptance, and being able to look yourself in the mirror every day and say you deserve this, you know, and you are enough. And when I talk to you all here on this live, honestly, I'm looking at myself in my phone right now. I'm talking to me. And so I'm basically talking to a mirror. And, you know, that's my one tip that I can share with you. The number 4 tip, I believe it was, surround yourself with positivity. And for me, that is surrounding myself with people, with friends, with family, that really are a support to whatever it is that you're aiming for. Because like they say, what is it? The 5 people you surround yourself with, right? It's going to have a big impact on your life. And you will notice that the types of friends you spend time with, even family members at times, you know, you might have to limit your time with certain members of your family if they're not on the same page as you. And you're trying to pursue goals that maybe at times make other people uncomfortable. So I've been there. I think all of us as women, we've all been there at some time or another. We don't talk about it as much because, you know, we keep a lot of things in sometimes, but, you know, I use the 80-20 rule on even my relationships. I don't know if you've read that book, but, you know, I've noticed that 80% of my happiness comes from 20%, usually, of the people that I spend the most time with. So I actually devote 100% of my time now. I'm very, very strict on and protective over my time, because just 5 minutes, just 10 minutes, you know, just a little coffee break with somebody who maybe is a little, you know, doesn't give me the positivity that I need for the day, is 15 minutes, 10 minutes of where positivity could have been instilled in my day. And so I'm very protective over that, because it affects who I am going forward as a friend, a wife, a daughter, a mom. And in order for me to be the best version of myself, I need to surround myself with like-minded people. And, you know, for a while, I actually took a lot of time to myself, and I lost a lot of friends in the process, you know, when I was building my business. I was growing myself, and everything was, I was becoming successful. It's even hard for me to say right now. Successful in life, my family, you know, I felt really happy. Felt really happy as a wife. I felt really happy as the daughter I was becoming, the mom I'm becoming, even really happy as an entrepreneur, building the business that I was building. And it was funny, during that growth period where I was gaining confidence, I actually lost a lot of people that I made uncomfortable in the process. Sometimes being happy, being confident, if people aren't ready for it, you know, it's a little hard to stomach and be around if you're not in that same space. And so, you know, be ready for that as well. You know, as you're growing and as you're learning, it may make other people uncomfortable, but at the same time, I knew that the only way that I could better anyone around me and I could add value into this world was to be a better me. And in order to do that, I needed to keep learning and keep growing, even if it was hard sometimes to lose friends, you know, to make people uncomfortable, to stand in my truth, and to say and do things that, you know, maybe some people wouldn't say out loud. And so I'm really happy to have done that, and it was a struggle, and it's always going to be hard. And, you know, in my next point, I'll discuss about that, you know, a little more, like when things are hard, like the beauty of that. And I think another point I would share, resilience. I really love the book Grit. It goes over that, you know, gaining grit and resilience in your life, because you're going to need that. If you are going in a direction that no one else is going in, or you want to be successful, you want to be great in whatever area it is, you will need resilience. Let me tell you that. It's not going to be easy, you know. Going along with the crowd and what everyone else is doing, that's easy. Going against the grain sometimes, you know, building a bikini company based on empowering women rather than just, you know, sexualizing them in photos, empowering women to own their femininity. You know, it's not something the status quo is doing. So, yeah, it's sometimes we get some negative feedback doing that. But I really believe that building a brand based on empowering women to continue being feminine and owning that, I think that in the long run, it'll be worth it. And all of your feedback, you know, has really helped me to stand my truth in the process. And so with resilience, you know, what I wanted to discuss, I wrote down the struggle makes the result a lot more worth it. And, you know, if you really think about it, everything in life that you're really, really proud of probably took a little bit of struggle, took a little bit of effort, because when you work really hard for something, you're proud of yourself. And so, you know that when you're going to do something a little bit difficult, like, know you're going to have a little bit of pushback and be ready for it, because you are strong enough. You know, we all are. If you can visualize it in your mind, it's something that you're capable of doing. If someone else is doing it, it's something that you're capable of doing. We're all, you know, human here, living on the same planet. And so we are open to opportunities, you know, as long as you can visualize it. I really feel it's something that you can go after. And, you know, don't give up, because it takes time with everything, you know, just building my company and everything in life, you know, that I can think of. It took a lot of time, and we're not in a rush. Like, I realized, like, a lot of years, probably, you know, in my 20s, I was rushing, trying to get somewhere that I didn't even know where I was heading, but I heard it was good. And so a lot of times, like, we're rushing around and we're trying to get somewhere, we're trying to do something or be successful. And then when you get there, you're like, what was the rush all about? You know, we have a lot of time. We have a lot of hours in the day. We have a lot of days in a year. And I think just taking your time, slowing life down, you're going to be able to realize, like, it's the moments in the process that really matter. It's not the end result. It really isn't. It's all these tiny little moments in between that make the result worth it. And if you get to that end result without realizing all those tiny moments, you missed out. So you really want to take it slow. Like, I know, you know, as a teen in my 20s, I was a lot quicker to run for things that I wanted. And now I'm just like, I'm on Hawaiian time. And, you know, I'm realizing, like, some things that I thought mattered, it's all the tiny little steps that make you really proud along the way. And every time you keep your word to yourself, you gain trust in yourself. You gain confidence in yourself. And every time, you know, we make a little promise to ourselves, whether it's just waking up at a certain time or whether it's going for a walk that morning, whatever it is, every promise that we break to ourselves actually lessens our confidence. And so whatever it is you tell yourself, you know, value that, keep that word, keep that promise, you know, just as we treat everyone else. Like, sometimes put ourselves first, you know, in that way. And that's one way, like, I build confidence in myself. I know it's all these tiny little wins. It's drinking my green juice in the morning. It's taking my vitamins. It's drinking 8 glasses of water, or whatever it is, you know. It's going for a walk. It's spending time with my kids. It's all those tiny little wins that allow me to be here having this conversation with you and feeling really, really whole about it. And the last thing that I have, you know, to tell you for boosting my self-confidence, one tip that I do is really know your goals, envision your future, sit down with that thought, like, write it down, visualize it, visualize the process. Like I say, if you can visualize it, it usually is, it is something you can attain. The fact that you can think it, and you can visualize it, you'll get there. And so, like, when I write things down, when I have just a tiny moment in the day or the week, I actually try to envision it in my head. I remember when I was training for a marathon. I was not a runner. I started walking just 1 mile a day after work, and I would actually envision when I set the goal to complete a marathon on my 30th birth date. It was crazy. I wasn't a runner. Like, it was, if I actually thought about it, like, yeah, I would have thought I was crazy. But, as I was walking 1 mile, I envisioned myself crossing the finish line at the Honolulu Marathon. Like, I thought about how it would feel. I thought about who would be there as I crossed the finish line. I thought about, running maybe on the 16th mile, not only the finish line, like, I envisioned it so deeply that I thought of how I would feel on the 16th mile, on the 7th mile, on the 5th mile. And then when I actually did it, I was already prepared for the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, because I already prepared in my head. And also, when we visualize things, it's okay to visualize that things are going to be a little bit hard. As I'm on my walk, when I'm training for a marathon, I was running a 13-miler one day. I felt that, like, your body literally, I think after like 18 miles starts eating away at itself. Like, but envisioning the race, the actual race, and feeling like I would be tired, feeling those feelings, because it trained my mind and my body to, when I was actually there, be prepared for that. And I finished it. And 3 months later, I finished another marathon in Hilo. And then I think like 2 weeks later, I got pregnant. So with my 3rd. So, I'm so glad I set that goal and I visualized it, and I encourage all of you, like, write things down. I write things down every single day. I check my goals off for the day, the week, the month, the year. And I have journals on journals in my closet of goals that I've accomplished. And so right there, that in itself, just looking back at that, I gain confidence. And so, yeah, that's just my thought, for today. And thank all of you for joining in. I want to encourage all of you ladies to join our group, our Empowered by Fuse Hawaii. It's my passion project. It's something I'm really having fun with. It's a way for me to kind of step out of just the swimwear thing, step out of just bikinis, and kind of just step into your stories. Like, that group is all about us. It's all about sharing our stories, connecting with women. We've already had some women in there who have found friends in their area. I just met a woman, a business owner, who I totally love her bags. Like, she hand sews her bags. I just found out she's 59 years old, and she lives in my neighborhood through the group that I just set up this week. So Empowered by Fuse Hawaii, I linked it up in this live video here for you to check out and click on. And I really encourage all of you to be there, because I think that you all have something to share and something to add. This is my story, and I'm super excited to hear yours. Thank you all for joining me today. And again, if you want one of these Team Fuse Hawaii hats, Aloha State, share this with your friends and message me that you've shared it. And the first 25 people, we will be shipping this to you. Give us your shipping address in the message, and I'll definitely get one of these out to you. Thank you. Aloha. Bye.